Thanks for joining us here on SportsRadio610.com. Hot topic today here on the station this afternoon has been Ines Sainz, the reporter covering the Jets locker room, provocatively dressed, who was subjected to catcalls and at one point had footballs thrown in her direction to annoy her. It brings up the age-old debate. It's been around for quite a while, particularly in this town, about women in the locker room and who's right and who's wrong.
Well, as I mentioned on the show, the late great Anita Martini was the female reporter who broke down that barrier when then Dodgers manager Walter Alston allowed her in the visitors' locker room at the Astrodome here in Houston in the mid-'70s. And since then, female reporters have been given the same access as male reporters. I have no problem with that. However, I think you can't talk about this without acknowledging that there is some uncomfortableness to it. There are some sticky situations, if you will, and that sometimes players and the female reporters are in situations where they feel a little bit uncomfortable. Now, that said, nothing, zero, no way you excuse sexual harassment. Whatever comments, behavior the Jets may or may not have displayed in her presence, if it constitutes harassment, there's no excuse for it. But I know we've been going back and forth on this on the show. I want to make one thing very clear. If a female reporter goes into a locker room dressed inappropriately and or acting inappropriately in some sort of sexually suggestive manner, which we've both seen, it does happen from time to time, that female reporter, I think, has to bear at least some of the responsibility for any inappropriate behavior that follows her quote-unquote baiting, if you will.
For the most part, women in the locker room behave very professionally.
Absolutely.
They're there to do a job, and that's it. In some cases, as Rich mentioned, in the exception, there are women that are there that cross the line. But the problem I have is if she crosses the line with her dress, it needs to be addressed when she shows up, not after players make these lewd remarks toward her. At that point, I don't think it's her fault. I don't think she's to blame. I think it's the players that bear the responsibility for their own actions.
And good to hear on the show today that Anna Megan Rayleigh, a contributor here at SportsRadio610.com, told us as a female reporter in the locker rooms of the Texans, Rockets, and Astros, she has never had a single problem with any player or team official here in Houston. That's good to hear. Hey, if you want to weigh in on this issue, connect with us on the show from 2 to 7 Monday through Friday. And, of course, we thank you for connecting here to SportsRadio610.com.